Welcome back to 9works TV. From the interior, not of a 911, but something different, albeit Porsche. More on that another time. But it's time to take a look at the Porsche marketplace. We assess things in springtime, so we're going to speak to two industry specialists with their feet on the ground, know exactly what's going on, to find out what on earth has happened to the Porsche marketplace over the summer of 2021 and what we can therefore expect and forecast going into the rest of the year and the start of 2022. As I mentioned, I'm going to speak to two specialists, Jonathan Franklin from Jonathan Franklin Cars and Jamie and Jason from Paragon Porsche. Here's what they both had to say. Jonathan Franklin, how are you doing?
I'm very well, how are you?
Very good. We had a chat earlier this year.
We did.
With regards to the Porsche marketplace.
Yep.
First of all, what I'd really like to know from you, inside the industry, what has happened to the Porsche marketplace this summer? It's been quite good, hasn't it, for buyers and sellers?
Well, it's continued to be very firm. And with every different, 911 Cayman, Boxster has held up.
Has that surprised you?
To be honest, yes. COVID kind of, I think, inspired people to treat themselves, and I think it's changed everybody's mindset. I'll be honest, I didn't think it had last quite as long as it has, but I think it's actually permanently changed people's mindset.
What, in terms of how they buy? Or
I think both how they buy and they want to treat themselves. And I think that's why demand has, stayed firm.
Yeah, okay.
And on the back of that, prices have actually increased in lots of cases.
Have there been any cars that have surprised you?
Yes. I mean, it's quite a unique situation I think we've been in the last 18 months, but I think you would have expected things like GT3, GTSs, all that sort of stuff to have maybe held up. But even, dare I say, a standard 911S or, I don't know, a Boxster or whatever it is, something that you might deem a kind of basic-ish model, they're all, the prices are right up there.
Yeah.
They've all increased. It's not just one model. Yes, there are a couple of cars that stand out. I think a lot of the older cars have really firmed up. We were talking earlier on about the 912. They've shot up.
Blows my mind how much they've gone up,
yeah,
to be honest.
Massively. I mean, I was selling them 5-6 years ago for an absolute fraction of the price.
All right, that's looking at what has happened in the summer. Going into autumn,
yeah.
Is the bubble going to burst at any point in your opinion? Or
I'll be honest, I can't see it letting up at the moment. The demand is very much still there. There's always things like holidays and, kids being off school and all that sort of stuff, and Christmas that are going to affect things. But, there's a shortage of stock, shortage of cars for sale, and consequently it's supply and demand. They're selling for big money. So
yeah.
I can't really see it letting up.
Yeah, okay.
At the moment anyway. I mean, obviously it's got to flatten out somewhere, but I can't see it at the moment.
You mentioned off camera that dealers are still kind of super happy to buy up these cars, which, I mean, if they decide to stop,
yep,
that would send, I think, a few warning signals, because they would be losing confidence, and if they don't have the confidence in the marketplace, that kind of permeates through.
But I don't think, I might be wrong, I don't know, it remains to be seen, but I don't think, even if it does flatten out, which it will obviously do at some point, it can't keep going up. I do think that it won't actually crash, because I don't think dealers can get enough stock. So they're not going to be left holding the baby, if you like.
Yeah.
I can't see it crashing.
Look, since we last spoke and did one of these videos, the 992 GT3
Yep.
has reached customers finally. What has that done for the GT3 marketplace generally, so the older stuff?
I've got to be honest, I think it's made it more desirable. 991 GT3 Gen 2, they're absolutely on fire. They're sort of 20 grand in some cases, more than they were a year ago. One car that has probably been overlooked a bit actually is the Gen 1 991. When you look at the disparity between the prices of Gen 2.
Does the fact that those Gen 1 cars are coming to the end of their 10-year manufacturer engine warranty worry you as a dealer buying them, or is that kind of a bit superficial?
The thing is, there's such a big difference between the prices of the Gen 1 and Gen 2 that you've got to kind of self-warrant, if you like, buying a car like that anyway, regardless. and I think it's, you know, dare I say, it's £100,000 roughly, 90, £100,000. But I think they're good value. There are still a couple of 911s out there that are, wouldn't say bargains, probably the wrong word, but probably haven't shot up quite as quickly as some of the others.
Such as, like?
I think early 997s buy a nice car for £30,000.
It's a lot of cars.
I mean, you can buy one for less, but you can buy a really good one for sort of 30,000. What sports car can you buy for 30,000? And shouldn't really drop in value too much. You know, it's quite a prudent purchase, quite a good entry into 911 ownership. As is 996, but that's funny actually. 996s are hitting same sort of figures as 997s.
Obviously, I'm a 996 owner without doing my own car a disservice. But when you put a 996 next to a 997, and the 997 has got all that additional technology like PASM, sport mode, etc.
Well, they're very close now, aren't they?
It's, you know, the 997 is more car for the money. Awesome. So look, we've had a great summer. Things are looking good going into autumn winter time. 997.1 you've identified as a really good bargain, and the 991.1 GT3. One last thing I want to touch on before we go. So again, in our previous video, you spoke about the Carrera GT market and how with Brexit and whatnot, cars stuck here are stuck here and cars abroad are kind of left there. How has that market evolved, if at all? Like, what's the situation?
I think it's put more sort of focus on the cars that are already here. It's definitely toughened the prices up. I mean, for any CGT owner, it's great news. For anybody that wants to buy one, they're probably crying, because it's obviously at the price point that the Carrera GT is at. It's in some cases it's probably made it a bit more unobtainable. Okay,
well look, that's all questions answered, I think. Jonathan, Franklin, always appreciate your expertise, so thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
That's the view of Jonathan Franklin. Let's see what the guys at Parrikin have to say. Jamie Tyler, Jason Shepherd, sales extraordinaires from Paragon Porsche here in Sussex. The centre's been going since 1993. How long have you guys been here for? And like, just give us a bit of an idea of your experience in the industry.
I've been here 28 years, so pretty much since Paragon started.
I'm the new boy. I've only been here for 16 years.
What's happened the past year or so in the marketplace? It's been quite hard to find good quality cars, has it not?
It's been a very, very interesting year. Overall buoyant. And yeah, a perennial struggle really, sort of finding the right quality of stock.
Well, that's where you guys are a little bit different to others in that you buy all of your stock. It's not sale or return.
No, so we buy everything outright.
Yeah, so you're, I suppose, a lot more picky and fussy about what's in here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Things seem to be roughly 10% up on last year. Is that fair? And is it across the board, or are there things that have kicked on more, or any models or cars that haven't kicked on as much?
In general, that's probably a fair summation, that sort of 10% thing. In terms of things kicking on slightly more, I think there's been a bit more of a resurgence in possibly in some of the sort of the GT type cars, the more specialist cars, would you say?
Yeah.
And you know, some maybe even some of the sort of air-cooled, you know, classic stuff as well. I think people have been reflecting upon every modern car that's rolling past our showroom whilst we talk. You know, it's pretty good. You know, but a lot of them are not very engaging anymore. And so I think a lot of people are looking for engagement and fun as opposed to absolute 0 to 60 times or lap time or whatever. And I think there has been a refocusing upon, you know, what is it about these cars that we really enjoy, and thankfully I think the answer is, you know, the actual driving of them is coming to the fore. I think that's probably been helped by the fact we've actually been sort of stuck almost in the country for quite a bit, and so I think, you know, there have been some bizarre positives to the whole COVID situation.
But I think touching on the enjoyment side as well, I think we're finding a lot more people are actually buying cars to actually use them and enjoy them more now, rather than mothballing them away as investments, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's interesting. So less people looking for investment pieces, more drivers or like genuine enthusiasts, you might say that.
I think maybe even there's a growing awakening of the fact that you can use them, exercise them, have some fun in them. And if you are shown to be using the right people, by having bought the right car and using the right people to maintain that car, then it's actually, you know, you're part of that car's story now. And with proper enthusiasts, that is a good thing.
The last time I did this video, we said the market's up, it can't sustain, but it has. Do you think that this is kind of, we've just found a bit of equilibrium here and these kind of values are here to stay?
I think
or
it's
is there a
definitely
correction coming? Or?
Levelled off, hasn't it? And I think all the time there's a shortage of the new cars coming through. People are looking at buying something that's a bit older.
Yeah.
And we've also seen people that have had newer cars that have gone back to buying something older as well, just for more enjoyment and satisfaction.
Going into winter and springtime then, does that give you confidence that this is going to continue, or do you feel like there might be a correction coming?
I think there will be a little bit, but I think it's going to be fairly gentle. I don't think there's going to be a crash as per, you know, banking crisis, for example,
Right,
and that sort of stuff. I don't think it's going to be
good.
anything like that.
Yeah, lots of positivity going forward then. I'm going to put you both on the spot and ask what specific models going forward do you think are like represent really good value right now, or do you think could be really good news going forward?
I think 96, 97 GT3, you know, the Metzger cars and all that sort of stuff, and earlier almost a better. I think 96 GT3, if you find that car that is truly special and there are no questions, no qualms about it, I think that represents. And I've been around long enough to know that they're twice the amount that they were, you know, at a certain point in their nadir. I still think that's a massively undervalued car.
Yeah.
And I think going forwards that will prove to be the case because, you know, it's a golden rule car, you know, it's a Porsche motorsport car and it's very low numbers and, you know, they're not making anything like it anymore. So I you know, that's me doing my tub thumping bit and he knew I was going to say that.
The early GT3s look like such good value compared to the new stuff. And the early stuff is arguably a bit more engaging, particularly for like road speeds.
Yeah.
The 996 GT3 as well is just about to be allowed into the States, so I think there could be a bit of an uptick with like international market.
Yeah.
Any other cars that you think, okay,
I think there's a bit of a sweet spot for these end of generation cars. So, you know, last of the 997s, generation 2 997s, and also the first generation 991s as well, last of the naturally aspirated cars.
Yeah,
that's been a bit of a revelation. You know, the 991.1, I think it's really finding its feet.
Okay, look, stellar advice there. Always appreciate your expert insight, calling on more than half a century or nearly half a century
Thank you.
experience between you.
Yeah.
But no, seriously guys, I do appreciate it.
Thank you, it's been great fun as always. Cheers.
That's what the experts say. As I mentioned, they have got their feet on the ground and their fingers on the pulse. They know exactly what's going on in the Porsche marketplace. So we're always grateful for them giving up their time and imparting their specialist knowledge onto us. Thank you very much as always for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It means when I drop my videos, you get to see it first. I'll see you soon.